Welcome, one and all. I once again take pleasure on behalf of the campaign Weekend for Environment in welcoming you all to this seminar on climate change education. The main motto of this is time to act on climate change is now. Before discussing why climate change is the top priority, let's discuss about the learning objectives of this seminar. Climate change education helps understand and address the impacts of climate crisis by empowering participants with the knowledge, skills, values, attitudes needed to become aware agents of change. After this, you will be aware of climate crisis and understand the importance of environmental health, be it clean air, safe use of chemicals, sound agricultural practices, protection from radiation, and so on. We want to encourage and motivate you to take proactive steps themselves to become champions of climate action. We want to help young people cope better with the reality of global warming, both practically and psychologically. We want to educate, empower, and engage all stakeholders and major groups on policies and actions relating to climate change. We will now discuss on why acting on climate change is the top priority. Climate change affects me, you, everyone on the planet. It is hence everyone's responsibility to protect the planet. We see that temperatures and heat waves are on the rise, and cyclones, flood storms have become common nowadays. Be it summer, or be it rainy season, or be it winter, you can feel the change compared to the decades back. So, we want to create more awareness of the present climate change crisis situation so that we can bring in consumer change behavior with reduced energy consumption and reduced generation of waste. Before we go into the intricacies of the seminar, I'll read two paragraphs from a report. Climate change has always been an integral part of human existence. With rapid industrialization and urbanization since the 19th century, climate change has acquired a new dimension, threatening the sustainability of life, livelihood, and the surrounding ecosystem. The rising incidence of extreme climate events in recent decades has raised greater public awareness about its adverse effects. Growing scientific evidence that climate change is also caused by human activities, a result of excessive burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, inappropriate agricultural practices, has led to global consensus on the need for coordinated policy actions encompassing both adaptation and mitigation strategies. Since the historic Paris Agreement of 2016, climate agenda has increasingly become target oriented. India has embarked on an ambitious and targeted climate action plan while balancing its growth and environmental objectives. In line with the target of net zero emissions by 2070, India has updated its NDC, nationally determined contributions, which aim at raising the share of renewable energy and reducing the carbon emission intensity of GDP by 2030. India presented its long term low emission development strategy at the COP27, covering plans for expansion of green hydrogen production, electrolyzer manufacturing capacity, and increased use of biofuels. We are also strengthening solutions based international cooperation. India launched and nurtured the International Solar Alliance and CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and Mission Life, that is Lifestyle for Environment, recently launched. India ranked in the list of most affected countries in terms of exposure and vulnerability to climate risk events as per the Global Climate Risk Index 2021. But it is also the highest ranked G20 country in the climate protection performance as per the Climate Change Performance Index 2023. This reflects the progress made on four parameters: greenhouse gas emissions, renewable energy, energy use, and climate policy. India will soon become the most populous country in the world. By this time, we are already the most populous. Preserving food and energy security amidst extreme climatic events while obtaining access to technology and critical raw materials required for successful green transition will therefore remain a key policy challenge for India. I repeat, preserving food and energy security amidst extreme climatic events while obtaining access to technology and critical raw materials required for successful green transition will therefore remain a key policy change for India. So, having read this abstract from a report, you can understand the urgency to act on the climate change. And today, I'll be presenting you few dimensions on how we can address the climate change. So before we go ahead, let's see how the climate change has manifested globally. Climate scientists recognize three anthropogenic drivers of climate change: GHG emissions, aerosols, and land use and land cover change. It has turned warmer by more than 1 degree Celsius as compared with the 1850 to 1900 average, with each decade being warmer than previous one by around zero point 0.2 degrees Celsius since the 1980s. Also, the heat absorbed in the upper layer of ocean has increased at an annual average of 1.9 zettazoles during 1940 to 1970 to 5.2 zettazoles during 1971 to 2022, causing thermal expansion, melting of glaciers and ice caps, rise in sea level and ocean acidification. You can understand how terrific the climate change has its consequences. Changing mass of cryosphere has resulted in high reflectivity of solar radiation and depletion of fresh water supply, including snow and ice. Wet areas are getting wetter while dry land is becoming drier, as global average precipitation has increased since the 1950s, marked by years of extremely heavy rainfall and severe droughts. Now, let's see few ways to act on climate change. Avoiding meat and dairy products is one of the biggest ways to reduce your environmental impact on the planet. A high fiber plant-based diet is also better for your health, so it's a win-win. Choose fresh seasonal produce that is grown locally to help reduce the emissions from transportation, preservation, and prolonged refrigeration. Next, if you need to fly for work, consider using video conferencing instead. For trips in the same country or continent, take the train or explore options using an electric car. When flying is unavoidable, pay a little extra for carbon offsetting. For leisure trips, choose nearby destinations and fly in economy class. On average, a passenger in business class has a carbon footprint 3 times higher than someone who travels in economy. Now, we will be discussing the next point. Instead of getting in car to workplace, walk, cycle, and enjoy the physical and mental health benefits. And also the money saved can be invested. Not only do cars contribute to the greenhouse gas emissions, but air pollution caused by exhaust fumes from traffic poses a serious threat to public health. For longer journeys, use public transport or try electric cars sharing schemes. Small changes to your behavior at home will help you less energy, cutting your carbon footprint and your energy bills. Switching energy supply to a green tariff is a great way to invest in renewable energy sources and could save your money on bills too. Put on an extra layer and turn down on the heat in a degree or two. Turn out the lights and appliances when you don't need them. Replace light bulbs with LEDs or other low energy lights. Make simple changes to how you use your water, like buying a water efficient shower head. Install solar panels on your roof to generate energy for your home. Respect and protect green spaces. Green spaces I'll be covering as we go ahead, but they are generally parks, gardens that are important. They absorb carbon dioxide and are associated with lower levels of air pollution. Green spaces help to regulate temperature by cooling overheated urban areas, can reduce flood risk by absorbing surface rainwater, and can provide important habitats for wide variety of insects, animals, and birds. They also provide multiple benefits to public health, with studies linking green space to reduce levels of stress. Invest your money responsibly. Find out where your money goes. Voice your concerns about responsible green investment by writing to your bank or fund house and ask them to opt out of funds investing in fossil fuels and promote projects that are environment friendly. To reduce your environment impact, choose products from companies who use resources responsibly and are committed to cutting their green gas emissions and waste. Cut consumption and waste. Everything we use as consumers has a carbon footprint. Avoid single-use items and fast fashion and try to buy not more than what you need. Shop around for second-hand or quality items that last a long time. Repair and reuse. Give unwanted items a new life by donating them to charity or selling them on. Avoid wasting food. When you throw food away, you are also wasting the resources and energy that were used to grow, produce, package, and transport it. And when food rots finally land in a landfill, it produces methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. Put your purchasing power to good use by choosing brands that align with your new green aspirations. Let brands know if you think they are using too much packaging, and they will take customer friendly feedback seriously. Talk about the changes you make. Conversations are a great way to spread big ideas. As you make these positive changes to reduce your environmental impact, share your experience with your family, friends, clients. Speak up and get others to join in taking action. It's one of the quickest and most effective ways to make a difference. Choose catering services that prioritize sustainable practices such as using locally sourced organic and seasonal food options, minimize single-use plastics, and provide reusable or compostable utensils and containers. Collaborate with suppliers and service providers who prioritize sustainability and offer eco-friendly products and services. Try to meet 100% of purchase grid electricity requirements from renewable sources. Implement smart grid technologies and energy management systems to optimize energy consumption. Use energy efficient HVAC systems that are properly maintained and regularly serviced to optimize their performance and reduce energy consumption. Replace old and energy consuming office equipment with energy efficient alternatives. Promote water conscious habits such as reporting leaks promptly and encouraging employees to turn off taps or faucets when not in use. Residential colonies can establish sharing economy programs to promote resource sharing among residents. These initiatives facilitate sharing of items such as tools, appliances, and vehicles, reducing consumption and waste. Residential colonies may implement comprehensive zero waste initiatives aiming to minimize waste sent to landfills. Colonies may install solar panels on rooftops to generate clean and renewable energy, reducing reliance on fossil fuels and lowering carbon emissions. Colonies may switch to energy efficient lighting solutions. Eco friendly construction practices and retrofits involve using sustainable building materials, implementing energy efficient designs, adopting renewable energy systems, installing energy efficient windows to reduce energy consumption. Colonies may encourage residents to use eco-friendly modes of transportation such as cycling, walking, or carpooling to reduce pollution and traffic congestion. Smart power strips that automatically cut off power to devices when they are not in use, reducing standby power consumption. Use recycled office supplies such as recycled paper, pens, folders, and notebooks, reducing the demand for virgin materials and minimizing waste. Community gardens provide residents with a space to grow their own food and promote sustainable agricultural practices, encouraging organic farming and reduce food transportation emissions. Choose office furniture made from sustainable materials. Adoption of organic clothing as merchandise whenever needed. Compost organic waste generated in cafeterias in office setups. Pursue green building certifications such as LEED or BREEAM. Look for devices with Energy Star certification. Install motion sensors for lights in office settings. Transitioning to digital document management systems can help reduce paper usage and associated costs. Installing water saving fixtures. Choose eco friendly cleaning products that are non toxic, biodegradable, and free from harsh chemicals as they improve indoor air quality while maintaining a clean and healthy workspace. Establish metrics to monitor and track sustainability efforts in the institution. The parameters can be energy consumption, water usage, waste generation and recycling rates, paper usage, sustainable transportation, employee engagement, adherence to green certifications. Some countries have designed car-free zones in few areas, promoting sustainable transportation alternatives. These zones prioritize pedestrians, cyclists, and non-motorized vehicles, reducing noise, air pollution, and congestion. Telangana's Haritaharam is considered the third largest afforestation program in human history. In the last 8 years, 243 crore saplings were planted with an expenditure of rupees 8511 crore. This aided in reservation of 9.65 lakh acres of forest areas in the state. The government of Odisha, on similar lines, is making significant strides in the direction of augmenting the green cover in the state, and the recent Trees Outside Forests in India program is well placed to supplement and reinforce existing efforts to increase farmer incomes and also make agriculture more climate resilient. The Telangana government, under scheme of Mission Kaktiya, has prioritized to make restoration of minor irrigation tanks to restore them to their original capacity and to effectively utilize 255 TMC of water allocated for minor irrigation sector under Godavari and Krishna river basins. We are progressing from the ways to act on climate change to how various governments are reacting. So, few other things, the government of Gujarat has established the Charanka Solar Park, one of the largest solar power generation facilities in India. The park promotes clean energy generation and reduces greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to Gujarat's renewable energy goals. The government of Tamil Nadu has implemented a comprehensive wind energy policy to promote wind power generation in the state. The policy encourages development of wind farms, provides incentives for wind power producers, and contributes to Tamil Nadu's renewable energy targets. The government of Maharashtra has introduced an electric vehicle EV policy to encourage the adoption of electric vehicles in the state. The policy includes incentives such as subsidies, tax exemptions, and charging infrastructure development to promote clean and sustainable transportation. The government of Karnataka has implemented a rainwater harvesting initiative to conserve water resources. The initiative encourages the installation of rainwater harvesting structures in residential and commercial and public buildings to encourage to recharge groundwater and mitigate water scarcity. The government of Rajasthan has formulated a solar energy policy to promote solar power generation in the state. The policy provides incentives and support for the development of solar projects, fostering the growth of renewable energy and reducing dependence on fossil fuels. The government of Kerala has launched the Harita Kerala Mission, a comprehensive program aimed at sustainable waste management, conservation of biodiversity, and promotion of organic farming. The mission focuses on waste reduction, recycling, and sustainable land use practices. The government of Himachal Pradesh has implemented various initiatives to conserve forests and biodiversity. These include afforestation programs, promotion of ecotourism, and strict regulations on forest conservation to mitigate deforestation and preserve natural habitats. The government of West Bengal has established a dedicated climate change department to address climate related challenges. The department focuses on climate resilience, sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and disaster management, among other initiatives. These are few initiatives taken by state governments of India. And these are few green buildings. The Bank of America Tower in New York City is LWD Platinum certified skyscraper and has been hailed as one of the world's most sustainable office buildings. It features advanced energy efficient systems, rainwater harvesting, natural daylighting, and a green roof. Infosys Limited Mysore building has achieved the LWD Platinum certification and incorporates features such as rainwater harvesting, solar panels, energy efficient lighting, and a comprehensive waste management system. The ITC Green Park in Gurgaon, Haryana has been recognized for its sustainability practices and has achieved the LWD Platinum certification. The building incorporates features such as solar panels, energy efficient systems, rainwater harvesting, and extensive use of natural light. And what do we mean by carbon footprint? The term carbon footprint refers to the amount of greenhouse gas emissions associated with a person's activities. Emissions are measured in carbon dioxide equivalents, which take into account not only carbon dioxide but also other greenhouse gases such as methane and nitrous oxide and O by converting them to carbon dioxide equivalents with the same global warming potential. So before we move ahead, I'll recap on what we have discussed till now. We started with discussing on learning objectives of the seminar. Then we went to on to discuss why acting on climate change is top priority. Then we read a report. Then we discussed about global manifestations, and then we went on to talk about ways to act on climate change, like choosing the fresh seasonal produce grown locally, using video conferencing, preferring economy class, getting into workplace by car or using carpooling, and then making small consumer change behaviors to reduce the carbon footprint, then keeping on extra layer of clothes during winter, then respecting and protecting green spaces, then investing our money responsibly in the companies that adhere to the sustainable green practices. Then we discussed about cutting on waste using reusable items or second hand items, recyclable items, then about avoiding of to waste food, and then we went on to discuss about how conversations are a great way to spread big ideas. Then we discussed various other things about that can be implemented in office and colony residence settings. Then we went on to discuss how few states are implementing few initiatives like Haritaharam or Mission Kaktiya in Telangana, then trees outside forests in Odisha. Then we talked about green buildings, and we also talked about initiatives of few other state governments, be it Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, about their solar policy, wind policy, EV policy, rainwater harvesting, solar policy, Harita Kerala machine, then protecting biodiversity by Himachal Pradesh government, and new department created to address climate change by the government of West Bengal. So now we'll be moving ahead to the next part of the presentation. We'll be discussing few behavioral change methods that we discussed above in detail. So what is rainwater harvesting? By collecting rainwater, we can reduce the burden on traditional water resources such as rivers and groundwater, which are depleting rapidly. By collecting rainwater, we can recharge groundwater aquifers, maintain soil moisture levels, and support the growth of vegetation, ultimately contributing to the preservation of ecosystems. While there might be initial investments required for setting up harvesting systems, the savings in water bills and reduced demand for water infrastructure development outweighs the costs. This is about rainwater harvesting, and this is the setup as we can see. Next, let's discuss about sustainable agriculture. By adopting sustainable farming practices such as organic farming, agroforestry, and crop rotation, soil erosion is minimized, water resources are conserved, and biodiversity is promoted. By focusing on diverse cropping systems, sustainable agriculture enhances resilience against pests, diseases, and climate variability, thereby reducing crop failures. By adopting climate smart agricultural practices such as agroecology and precision farming, it contributes to global efforts to combat climate change and build resilient agricultural systems. It encourages the use of renewable energy sources, reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and sequesters carbon in the soil. You can see sustainable agriculture. We will be doing energy management, nutrient and soil fertility management, then we'll be doing pest management, we'll be doing pasture lands management. It's not one single thing, we'll be concentrating on all the aspects. We'll be doing erosion management, then we'll be doing forestry management, wetlands management, water irrigation management, livestock. Sustainable agriculture covers everything. As we can see, the positive impacts it has, it minimizes erosion, water resources are conserved, biodiversity is promoted, crop failures are reduced. It encourages the use of renewable energy resources. So sustainable agriculture is a huge opportunity that we need to tap on. Let's discuss what organic farming is. Organic farming is an agricultural approach that emphasizes the use of natural and sustainable practices while avoiding synthetic chemicals and genetically modified organisms. The organic farming strives to produce nutritious, environment-friendly and sustainable food while preserving natural resources and protecting ecosystem health. Here are key aspects of organic farming. Soil health. Organic farming focuses on building and maintaining soil fertility through practices like crop rotation, composting, overcropping, and the use of organic matter. Healthy soil support nutrient-rich crops and improve water retention. Next comes natural pest and weed management. Organic farmers employ techniques like biological control, crop rotation, beneficial insects, and natural predators to manage pests and weeds, minimizing the use of synthetic pesticides and herbicides. Next comes biodiversity conservation. Organic farming encourages the preservation and enhancement of biodiversity by creating habitats for beneficial organisms, maintaining natural ecosystems, and avoiding the use of genetically modified organisms. Next comes animal welfare. Organic livestock farming promotes the well-being of animals, providing them with access to outdoor areas, pasture grazing, and organic feed. The use of growth hormones and antibiotics is restricted. Next comes environment sustainability. By avoiding synthetic chemicals, organic farming reduces soil and water pollution, protects ecosystems, and promotes a healthier environment. Then comes certifications and standards. Organic farming follows specific regulations and standards established by certification bodies to ensure adherence to organic principles and provide consumers with confidence in the organic label. Next comes green packaging. Green packaging helps conserve natural resources by using renewable or recycled materials such as biodegradable plastics, paper, or plant-based materials. Green packaging reduces the reliance on virgin resources and minimizes the extraction of raw materials from the environment. Green packaging promotes waste reduction and recycling. It focuses on designing packaging that is easily recyclable or compostable, thereby reducing the amount of waste sent to landfills. Green packaging encourages the use of recycling symbols, providing the consumers with clear instructions on how to dispose of the packaging properly. By supporting recycling infrastructure and practices, green packaging helps close the loop in circular economy, promoting the reuse of materials and reducing the demand for new packaging production. Next comes recycling stations. Recycling stations provide a convenient and accessible location for individuals and communities to dispose of recyclable materials properly. By making recycling easily accessible, more people are encouraged to participate, diverting a sustainable amount of waste from landfills. Recycling reduces the need for extracting and processing raw materials such as metal ores, paper pulp, and plastic polymers. By reusing and transforming materials, recycling stations contribute to resource conservation, energy savings, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions associated with resource extraction and production. Recycling stations support the circular economy model. When materials are recycled instead of disposed of in landfills or incinerated, the release of harmful chemicals, greenhouse gases, and leachates into environment is significantly reduced. Now comes waste segregation and management. Waste segregation involves the separation of different types of waste material at the source. This includes categorizing waste into recyclables, organic waste, and non-recyclables. Recyclables are paper, glass, metal. Organic waste includes food scraps, garden waste. Non-recyclables include certain plastics. Proper waste segregation enables efficient recycling and reduces the amount of waste sent to landfills or incineration facilities. Waste management refers to collection, transportation, processing, and disposal of waste in an environmentally responsible manner. It involves various strategies such as recycling, composting, landfilling, and waste to energy processes. Recycling and composting promote recovery of valuable resources and minimize the environmental impact of waste. Landfilling, when necessary, should adhere to proper engineering practices to prevent contamination of soil and water. Waste to energy technologies convert waste into energy through processes like incineration or anaerobic digestion. Next comes soil testing and soil remediation. Soil testing is a process of analyzing soil samples to determine their nutrient content, pH levels, organic matter, and presence of contaminants. It provides valuable information for optimizing fertilizer application, improving crop productivity, and preventing nutrient deficiencies or excesses. Soil remediation techniques such as soil washing, bioremediation, and phytoremediation help remove or neutralize pollutants, making the soil safe for agriculture or ecological purposes. Soil remediation plays a critical role in mitigating soil pollution, preserving environment quality, and safeguarding human health. Next comes minimizing soil erosion. Minimizing soil erosion is crucial for preserving soil fertility, preventing land degradation, and protecting water quality. So, these are the methods on how we can reduce soil erosion: contour farming, terracing, cover crops and mulching, conservation tillage, windbreaks, sedimental control measures. Contour farming, planting crops along the contour lines of sloping land to slow down water runoff and reduce soil erosion. This method involves creating ridges and furrows that act as barriers, allowing water to infiltrate the soil and preventing excessive runoff. In terracing, constructing terraces on steep slopes to create level areas that help retain water and control its flow. Terraces reduce the speed of runoff, allowing time for water to infiltrate the soil and minimize erosion. Planting cover crops such as legumes or grasses and using organic mulch, straw, wood chips help protect bare soil from erosive forces. These practices enhance soil structure, reduce surface runoff, and increase water infiltration. Adopting reduced or no-till farming methods that disturb the soil minimally, leaving crop residues on the surface. This reduces soil erosion by preserving soil structures and enhancing water infiltration. Planting rows of trees or shrubs as windbreaks along field edges help reduce wind and erosion by creating a barrier that deflects winds and prevents the loss of topsoil. Implementing sediment control structures such as sediment ponds, silt fences, and sediment basins to capture and settle out eroded soil particles from runoff. By implementing these methods and adopting sustainable land management practices, we can effectively minimize soil erosion, protecting soil health, and maintain the long-term productivity of agricultural and natural landscapes. Next comes riverbank stabilization. Riverbank stabilization is the process of preventing or reducing erosion and instability along the banks of rivers or other water bodies. Here are key aspects of riverbank stabilization. Riparian vegetation, planting and maintaining native vegetation along the riverbanks helps stabilize the soil, enhance bank strength of the bank, and reduce erosion. Trees, grasses, and shrubs provide root systems that bind the soil and protect against the erosive force of water. Bioengineering techniques, implementing bioengineering techniques such as using live stakes, fascians, or coir logs involves installing live plant materials or natural fiber structures to promote bank stabilization and natural vegetation growth. Hard engineering structures. Constructing hard engineered structures such as gabions, revetments, or retaining walls can provide immediate stabilization. These structures help dissipate energy from flowing water and protect against bank erosion. Soil erosion control, employing erosion control measures like geotextiles, erosion control blankets, or biodegradable matting helps prevent soil erosion and provides temporary stabilization until vegetation establishes. Bank grading and slope stabilization, properly grading the bank slopes to appropriate angles and reinforcing with erosion control materials or retaining structures helps prevent bank collapse and erosion. Natural water flow management, managing water flow patterns and preventing excess channelization can reduce erosion along river banks, minimizing maintaining natural meanders and avoiding excessive strengthening of the rivers, help distribute water energy and reduce bank erosion. Next comes green spaces. Green spaces, also known as green areas, are important components of urban and rural environments that consist of open areas covered by vegetation, trees, parks, gardens, and other natural elements. Here, key aspects of green spaces: environmental benefits, health and well-being, social interaction and community engagement, urban planning and aesthetics, climate resilience, education and learning opportunities. Green spaces contribute to environmental sustainability by improving air quality, reducing urban heat island effects. Access to green spaces promotes physical and mental well-being. Green spaces serve as gathering places, fostering social interactions. Incorporating green spaces into urban planning enhances the aesthetics and livability of cities. Green spaces play a role in climate resilience by absorbing rainfall, reducing storm water runoff, and mitigating the impact of extreme weather events. Green spaces serve as outdoor classrooms and educational resources. They offer opportunities for environmental education. Next comes sustainable irrigation. Sustainable irrigation techniques are crucial for efficient water use, minimizing water waste, and promoting agricultural productivity while preserving water resources. Here are key techniques of sustainable irrigation. In drip irrigation method, we deliver water directly to plant roots through a network of tubes and emitters, reducing water loss through evaporation and runoff. In micro sprinklers and sprayer systems, we use low pressure water application devices that distribute water close to the ground, minimizing water evaporation and wind drift. In precise irrigation, we utilize advanced technologies such as soil moisture sensors and weather data to accurately monitor and control irrigation scheduling. This ensures that water is applied only when and where it is needed, avoiding overwatering. In mulching, we apply organic or synthetic mulch materials on soil surface around plants that help reduce evaporation, retain soil moisture, and control weed growth. In rainwater harvesting, as we discussed already, we collect and store rainwater for future irrigation purposes. In crop selection and water efficient practices, we choose drought tolerant crop varieties and implement practices like crop rotation, cover cropping, and optimizing planting densities that help reduce water requirements and improve irrigation efficiency. Next comes composting. Composting is a natural process that converts organic waste materials such as food crops, trimmings, and agricultural residues into nutrient-rich compost. Here are key aspects of composting. Organic waste recycling. Composting provides an environmental friendly solution for diverting organic waste from landfills, reducing methane emissions, and minimizing the need for chemical fertilizers. Composting involves creating a pile or container where organic waste is combined with carbon rich materials like leaves or straw. Over time, microorganisms break down the materials, generating heat and decomposing the waste into compost. The resulting compost is valuable soil amendment, rich in organic matter, nutrients, and beneficial microorganisms. It improves the soil structure, enhances water retention, and promotes healthy plant growth. Composting can be done on small scale in home compost bins or large scale in community composting facilities. It encourages waste reduction, promotes sustainable practices, and encourages a connection to the natural environment. Large-scale composting operations can process significant quantities of organic waste from restaurants, grocery stores, and agricultural operations. These facilities often use controlled processes to accelerate decomposition and produce high-quality compost. Composting reduces greenhouse gas emissions, enriches soil fertility, decreases resilience, decreases reliance on chemical fertilizers, and promotes sustainable waste management practices. We urge you to donate excess food and anything that you don't need. We have food banks coming up in various cities where you can go and donate the food instead of wasting it and throwing it off into the dustbins. Please go keep them there so that it doesn't go into landfills and we will be able to mitigate the greenhouse gas emissions created by methane generated from when food goes into the landfills. Also, when you don't need any items, do donate so that instead of creating waste, they will be reused by someone else and we will be generating less waste. Next comes restoring lakes. By undertaking comprehensive lake restoration efforts, we can protect and restore vital freshwater resources, promote biodiversity, enhance recreational opportunities, and safeguard the ecological and social value of lakes for future generations. It involves water quality improvement, addressing the factors contributing to poor water quality such as pollution and excessive nutrient inputs, and sedimentation. Implementing measures to control and reduce these sources can include wastewater treatment, sediment removal, and nutrient management. Restoring and protecting aquatic vegetation, wetlands, and riparian areas around the lake. These natural features provide habitat for wildlife, filter pollutants, and stabilize shorelines. Controlling and managing invasive species that threaten the balance and biodiversity of the lake ecosystem. This may involve the removal or control of invasive plants, fish, or other organisms. Implementing practices to manage and reduce non-point source pollution from the surrounding watershed. This includes adopting best management practices for agriculture, managing storm runoff, and promoting sustainable land use practices. These are the ways we can restore lakes that are the major source for the fresh water. Then comes river cleanup. Cleanup efforts are vital for preserving freshwater ecosystems, protecting biodiversity, and ensuring the availability of clean water resources for both human and ecological needs. By engaging communities, implementing pollution control measures, and restoring natural habitats, we can work towards restoration and conservation of our rivers. Organizing cleanup events to remove litter, trash, and debris from riverbanks and waterways is one way. Addressing pollution sources and implementing measures to reduce the discharge of contaminants in the rivers is the second one. Rehabilitating and restoring riparian vegetation such as trees, shrubs, and grass along riverbanks. These vegetated buffers help stabilize the banks, filter pollutants, and provide habitat for wildlife. Then conducting public awareness campaigns to educate communities about the importance of river health, and then regularly monitoring water quality, biodiversity, and ecosystem health to evaluate the effectiveness of cleanup initiatives and guide future management decisions. This is what constitutes river cleanup. Then coming to Swachh Bharat has significantly contributed to improving cleanliness and sanitation across India, reducing open defecations, enhancing waste management practices, and promoting a cleaner and healthier environment for all citizens. One of the primary goals of Swachh Bharat is to construct toilets in households, schools, and public places to eradicate open defecation and ensure proper sanitation facilities for all. The campaign emphasizes the importance of behavioral change, promoting proper waste disposable practices, and encouraging people to maintain cleanliness in their surroundings. Swachh Bharat focuses on efficient solid waste management, including segregation, collection, and proper disposal of waste, as well as promotion of recycling and waste to energy initiatives. The initiative targets both rural and urban areas with specific programs tailored to unique sanitation challenges of each region. Swachh Bharat encourages cleanliness drives, community participation, and volunteer efforts to create awareness and engage citizens in maintaining cleanliness and hygiene. Now comes wastewater treatment. Wastewater treatment is a crucial process that aims to remove contaminants and pollutants from water before it is discharged back into environment or reuse. These are the various stages of treatment. Primary treatment involves removal of large objects such as debris and grit through process like screening and grit chambers. Primary treatment step uses sedimentation to allow solid particles to settle at the bottom of tanks, forming sludge. The clarified water undergoes further treatment. In secondary treatment, biological processes such as activated sludge or trickling filters are employed to break down organic matter in the wastewater using microorganisms. This step reduces organic pollutants and nutrients. In tertiary treatment stage, we employ advanced processes like filtration, chemical coagulation, and disinfection to further purify the water and remove remaining contaminants. In advanced treatment, we use additional treatment steps like membrane filtration, reverse osmosis, or ultraviolet disinfection to meet specific water quality requirements. In the sludge treatment, the sludge generated during the treatment process is treated separately through methods like anaerobic digestion, dewatering, and thermal drying to reduce its volume and make it suitable for disposable or beneficial reuse. Then comes sustainable transport. Sustainable transport refers to use of transportation systems and practices that minimize environmental impact, promote energy efficiency, and prioritize social and economic well-being. It includes public transportation, encouraging the use of buses, trains, trams, and subways, reducing traffic congestion, lowering emissions, and improving air quality. Promoting walking, cycling, and other forms of human powered transportation not only reduces pollution but also improves public health and fosters vibrant pedestrian friendly communities. Transitioning to electric cars, buses, and bikes help reduce greenhouse gas emissions and dependence on fossil fuels. Expanding the charging infrastructure and providing incentives for EV adoption are important steps to adopt sustainable transport moving ahead. Encouraging carpooling and ride sharing services reduces the number of vehicles on the road, leading to reduced emissions, congestion, and energy consumption. Designing cities and neighborhoods that prioritize mixed land use development, compact urban design, and easy access to amenities promote walkability and reduce the need for long distance commuting. So, efficient urban planning is the key in sustainable freight transport. It comes encouraging efficient logistics, promoting rail and water transportation for long haul freight, and adopting clean technologies in the transportation of goods help reduce emissions and improve efficiency. Next comes renewable energy. Renewable energy refers to energy sources that can be replenished naturally within a human timescale, making them environmentally sustainable alternative to fossil fuels. Solar energy harnesses sunlight using photovoltaic cells or concentrated solar power systems to generate electricity and heat. Wind energy, in which wind turbines convert the kinetic energy of wind into mechanical power, which can be used to generate electricity. Hydropower utilizes the energy of flowing or falling water to drive turbines, producing electricity. Biomass energy involves converting organic matter like plants, wood, and agricultural waste into energy through processes such as combustion or anaerobic digestion. Geothermal energy taps into heat generated by Earth's core to produce electricity or for direct use in heating and cooling systems. Tidal energy utilizes the movement of tides to drive turbines and generate electricity. These renewable energy sources have the potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote energy independence, and mitigate climate change while ensuring a cleaner and more sustainable future. Next comes air quality improvement. Air quality testing is a critical process used to assess the presence and concentration of pollutants in the atmosphere. Establishing comprehensive air quality monitoring networks and ensuring timely reporting of data to identify pollution sources and take appropriate actions is the key. Conducting source appointment studies to determine the major contributors to air pollution, such as industrial emissions, vehicular traffic, or biomass burning. Improving air quality is crucial for the well-being of both humans and environment. Inventing stringent regulations and standards on industries, vehicles, and power plants to limit the release of harmful pollutants into the air, encouraging the use of public transportation, carpooling, and cycling to reduce vehicle emissions and alleviate traffic congestion, supporting development of clean energy technologies and providing incentives for their adoption can accelerate the transition to a low carbon economy. Establishing comprehensive air quality monitoring networks and ensuring timely reporting data to identify pollution sources and take appropriate action, as we discussed. Educate the public about impacts of air pollution on health and environment and promote individual actions like reducing energy consumption, properly disposing of waste, and choosing eco-friendly products, incorporating green spaces, pedestrian friendly infrastructure, and bike lanes in urban planning to improve air quality and reduce pollution hotspots. Enforcing emission control measures on industries, power plants, and vehicles through the use of technologies like filters, catalytic converters, and scrubbers to remove pollutants. Planting trees and restoring green spaces can help absorb pollutants and improve air quality. Now, as we discuss lot of initiatives in detail, you would have felt all are interlinked. Before we end, I'll recap on all the initiatives once again, all the steps that can be taken by us. The first one includes rainwater harvesting. Next one includes sustainable agriculture. Next comes organic farming. The benefits of organic farming are soil health, natural pest and weed management, biodiversity conservation, animal welfare, environmental sustainability. Then comes green packaging. Then comes recyclable stations. Then comes waste segregation and management, waste management involves various strategies such as recycling, composting, landfilling, and waste to energy processes. Then soil testing and soil remediation. Then we can minimize soil erosion by contour farming, terracing, cover cropping, and mulching. Conservation delays, windbreaks, sediment control measures. Then we can stabilize river banks by riparian vegetation, bioengineering techniques, hard engineering techniques, soil erosion control, bank grading and bank stabilization, natural water flow management. Then we discussed about green spaces, the environmental benefits, health and well-being, social interaction and community engagement, urban planning and aesthetics, climate resilience, education and learning opportunities that it provides. Then sustainable irrigation, it's all about drip irrigation, micro sprinklers and sprayers, precision irrigation, mulching, rainwater harvesting, crop selection and water efficient practices. Then composting, like how nutrient rich soil it creates and how it is beneficial going ahead as it reduces greenhouse gas emissions, enriches soil fertility, decreases reliance on chemical fertilizers, and promotes sustainable waste management practices. Then we discussed about donating excess food and in eating that you don't need. Then we discussed restoring lakes, the water quality improvement, vegetation habitat restoration, invasive species management, and watershed management. Then we discussed river cleanup. It includes removal of debris, pollution control, restoration of riparian zones, education and awareness, monitoring and assessment. Then we discussed the Swachh Bharat toilet construction, behavioral changes, solid waste management, rural urban sanitation, cleanliness drives. Then we discussed the stages of wastewater treatment. Then we discussed the modes of sustainable transport, be it public transportation, be it walking, be it electric vehicles, be it carpooling, be it efficient urban planning, be it sustainable freight transport. Then we discuss the various forms of renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, biomass energy, geothermal energy, tidal energy. Then we discussed about the air quality improvement. You might have felt all the things that we discussed above accumulately create, be it water quality improvement or air quality improvement or land use, land change cover. So everything is interrelated. And as you have seen, it is not an easy task before us. The next generation has lot of hard times and responsibility to act on. We, on behalf of Weekend for Environment campaign, urge every one of you to go through the presentation once again and take an area of interest that you find impressive as a passion and go deep into it, be it rainwater harvesting, be it sustainable farming, or be it river cleanups, or be it lake restorations, or be it the renewable energy sources or sustainable transport, whatnot. Pick whatever you are interested in and get deep dived into it and promote campaigns on it so that we will be able to witness the transition, because we are having a huge task before us and every small action counts. So we request every one of you to start contributing your part about climate change, because every drop counts, every action counts, and each action that you do will be like a drop, and all drops together will form an ocean to mitigate the impacts, to adapt to the climate change going ahead. I request every one of you to go through our Weekend for Environment social media handles, the Weekend for Environment YouTube channel, and every other updates we'll be coming up with, so that you will be well versed with how you can be part of the climate change action going ahead. It's not an thing that is about today or tomorrow. It's a initiative that is with a vision for decades, and you need to be part of it, make it an integral part of your life to act on climate change, so that moving ahead we will be able to achieve the targets of, be it Paris Agreement or whatever. See, Paris Agreement and all are just an international things to bring awareness. We need to do much beyond the Paris Agreement targets because it is we who will be the sufferers in the end. So I request every one of you to give a thought about it. Be integral part of acting on climate change so that we'll have a better future like we had centuries ago. We don't want the coming generations to suffer. We don't want us to suffer. We want every one of you to take an active part so that we will be able to create the impact of climate acting on mitigating the climate change. So with this, I thank you and I wish you have a good day. And at the same time, along with becoming part of the climate change initiatives and efforts, do spread this word about climate change education and make everyone aware that time to act on climate change is now. I thank you all once again for taking your time in attending this session so that you get a brief idea of what to do. And I wish it helped you to be aware of what you can do to act on climate change. Thank you.